Hey guys, Mustached Tom here to review the movie Thunderbolts. Now, I've seen the trailer, maybe once for this movie, but I am here to review it as objectively as possible. So, this movie is a bit of an oddity that, I don't know where the MCU is steering its ship, honestly, but it's moving, I guess. Now we're following Yelena, who skydives into another building and begins a fight out. By the way, this is going to be a spoiler review, if in case, but this is, might as well mention that now. This is just the beginning of the review/movie. So, as that is happening, we cut away to our main antagonist, named Valentina, who is being about to be removed from her position. However, she fights back, saying, and referring to one of the previous movies, that there was a president of Red Hulkitude. Meanwhile, Yelena goes to her dad, who happens to be the Red Guardian. And she seems a little bit lost in her work anti-hero villainy, bend, as it were. And he goes on about how being a hero was his highest honor, or the highest honor. So, she proceeds to go to her next/final mission before, prompting to sell the idea that she wants to move forward with becoming a hero. So she's led into a building where she is stopped by Walker, a Captain America from the series that I did not watch. This is one of those unfortunate circumstances where there are certain characters where if you have not watched previous movies, some of these might come across as, you don't really know who they might be. I don't actually know all that much, honestly, about Walker. They do a little bit with him. I do feel a little bad for Ghost, however, as I vaguely remember her from, I don't remember which Ant-Man, was she in the second one, I think? Ant-Man and the Wasp? Because I don't remember a lot about her from that movie, so, I don't know what her character is meant to be at this juncture. But the final person is Taskmaster, who is immediately killed by Ghost. So she's just out of the movie, that being Taskmaster. Thus, they are all fighting each other, and they get dropped in this room with one rando by the name of Bob. They start to realize that the room is heating up, and they put together that they were all brought there to be killed, as they are all bits of evidence as being put by them. So they reluctantly begin to work together to get out of this situation, pushing Ghost out of the room so that she can now make the others get out. Well, that's going on. We have when there's a little bit of downtime, Yelena makes some contact with this Bob fella about this darkness that has but they both feel deep within. And we get a little bit of a flashback when she makes contact with Bob. It seems like this is a pretty consistent thing that Bob is able to do throughout the feature point of the movie. That whenever someone touches them, they get to relive one of their worst memories over again. So while that's going on, Valentia's co-worker makes contact with the Winter Soldier. But we do quickly cut back to Yelena, Ghost, Bob, and Walker, beginning to all four of them work together to work up this, like, big upward hallway, essentially. And they manage to all four get up. From there, we do then see again that Bob makes contact, physical contact with Walker, and we see again that brief little thing about what makes Walker tick about him not being as vigilant dad as he could wish now it seems that he could have been. But as the four almost escape, they see that people are already there waiting for them, a military force of sorts. So Yelena wants to use a bomb to draw them in. Walker deals with the first wave as Yelena helps Bob out. As the three of them, that being Yelena, Bob, and Walker, put on gear as Ghost comes back with a vehicle to pick them up. I don't know how she has that teleporting power, so I guess she just used that off screen, but okay. So, they move, and they make some distance, after that. But, they get separated from Bob, as Bob uses himself as a distraction to let the others escape. Now, all the military gun people point their guns at Bob and proceed to shoot at him. However, he seems immune to bullets. He seems to have essentially the power of Superman at this juncture, and as it would turn out, actually. And in fact, he begins to fly, but is dropped back down within a moment of him being up there. So he's then moved. So Red Guardian gets to the rest of them via this limo, because he was there hearing what Valentina was planning to do, since he was the chauffeur for her. It is here in this vehicle where they sort of reluctantly name themselves the Thunderbolts, with asterisk next to it, as you can see right there on the poster. But they begin to get followed, and so far what they're doing, that includes Red Guardian creating a Molotov cocktail, does not seem to work, but the Winter Soldier catches up and knows the location, I guess. So he manages to work his way there and defeat the bad guys, but also capture them as well. So while that's going on, Valentia is rebuilding the Avengers Tower, it would seem. So she goes to Bob, and she touches Bob's hand, and we get a vision from her perspective in her immersed memory. All the while, the Winter Soldier has the four captured and waiting for something to come up, or mayhaps trying to figure out what to do next. However, the co-worker updates Bucky about Bob in his true potential, and they are all trying to warn him about Bob. So now that is all coalescing into Now he wants to reluctantly bring them all into this fold to bring down Bob, as it were. So we get an interesting perspective from Valentia, who now believes that the world is just filled with bad guys and worse guys, as she puts it, whereas the co-worker believed that she had believed that there was ways of saving the world and achieving a level of power/success. So the lot of them, the Thunderbolts, drive into her base and begin to fight, but she just outright invites them up, as she shows off that Bob has now become Sentry. So Red Guardian tries to strike first, and Sentry, as I'll call him moving forward, overpowers the entire group, being that Superman ability and now in costume. So they retreat, and Yelena says that how they're all losers, including herself. But Sentry begins to defy Valentia, and she has a little just-in-case button to shut him down, which she gets attacked, and the co-worker has to press the button, which does indeed manage to lower Sentry for the time being. So, we go back to Yelena, who feels now even more low and lost, as the Red Guardian tries to reinforce that being a dad slash, as part of the job as he was doing, but still trying to be there. However, we learn that Sentry has quickly vanished, and he is now in the air and has become Shadow Sentry. Actually, I don't know what he becomes. The anti-Sentry, I'm not sure what his comic book name is when he becomes a dark version of himself. So again, just for the sake of my own just being able to get through this review, I'll just call him Shadow Sentry from this point moving forward. So he's in the air, as all the people are looking up at this, and some of the military begin shooting at him, and he then proceeds to just turn people into shadows, and they vanish into thin air. He does this to people in a helicopter, who again proceed to just vanish. Thus, the team, the Thunderbolts, try to help the people down below from the carnage that is happening from above falling down upon them. However, Dark Sentry shadows spread even further, taking away, including the girl that Red Guardian just saved. So they try to get people to just flee as far as conceivably possible. It seems like that might be the most reliable thing to do at this juncture. However, Yelena thinks otherwise, as she begins to step forward into the said shadow, and does so, and reawakens in this, we'll call it a Shadowverse, where she relives her worst memories, and falls into another and shoots into another, eventually reaching the original Bob. So she talks to him about, not being in this dark place alone, and, I think this movie does have, these weird comical moments that, Marvel has yet to bury its clutches out of the ability to escape from making those because, quite frankly, like, let's just be frank about this, like, the theming of this movie does seem to be like, there just seems to be like this an implication of this loneliness leading to potentially suicidality. Like, that is how dark we are actually talking about here. And yeah, when we're talking about trying to get out of that situation and needing people, other people, and, you know, reaching that light, it does feel like the juxtaposition of the comedy, quote unquote, doesn't quite land. It feels like the movie should, I don't know, structure itself a little bit more seriously. Maybe that's more on a personal opinion side of things, but hey. I digress. Anyway, so they move along with Bob being brought through his own memories, being a chicken man at one point, and then the initial, like, where he became powered in the first place, like the initial memory. So they're all trying to talk him out, and he has to face his shadow self. So with the help of, because he like traps everyone else, so Red Guardian helps Yelena because he was like close enough to do so. So she reaches him, Bob, from beating down Shadow Bob, which when they're connected, the shadow like starts to engulf him, and the rest begin to also help him pull away, and thus, once doing so, they are able to escape the shadow realm, in which the shadow that has spread across most of New York retreats, and the people that were shadowed away are brought back. So it seems like no one was killed in this. This isn't like doing the whole Thanos snap where people are literally vanishing, you know. And so the group thinks to address a little unresolved Valentia problem. So they'll approach her as she slowly works her way through this like little cover thing that she got going on, and on the opposing side of it, they run right into her trap as the media are on the other side, and she then sells them as the new Avengers. And yeah, they're called the New Avengers. That is technically where the movie ends, and there was apparently 2 post-credit sequences. I only saw the one where Red Guardian like tried to like show off that he was on a cereal box, and that was about the gist of it. Apparently, the real one involves apparently the Fantastic Four arriving for their movie. So yeah, that was the Thunderbolts, and you know, I feel like there could have been a little bit more character work for Ghost, and I mean, can't really say much about Taskmaster. She just got completely removed. I don't know. You know, so I think this movie is like either a 5 or a 6 out of 10. It's sort of and like I do see the potential in it. I really do. Like, I do think that the theming is nice. I do think that some of the lead up, again, some of the character work could have tightened up a little bit here in the writing. So yeah, I think that's just the gist of everything is in this regard, is that, you know, and where Marvel is going, I guess they're really either banking on... I mean, I think they're just banking on the Fantastic Four and X-Men at this point, it seems. I mean, I don't know how well this movie is going to do. This definitely feels like your Miss Marvel movie, you know, between the two Avengers movies, and that's why that a lot of people cite how that movie succeeded. Thunderbolts definitely feels like that. Like an insert of, like, this is your little buffer before, you know, what we're really trying to sell you, which is Fantastic Four and the X-Men. So I kind of do feel bad for the Thunderbolts in a way. Like, yeah, I feel like this kind of got shunted a little bit. But yeah, but the writing also doesn't live up to the Thunderbolts being good enough, I feel. So it's sort of in this weird mixing place of, like, it's just sort of meh. And that's the end of that. That's also just my review of the Thunderbolts. So if you ended up enjoying that, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. Also make sure to check out those links in the description when I'll head you over to my petition about small YouTubers. So get to my PayPal, you can help support me and my channel directly. And third to my Discord server, join Collab Shell, do all that cool stuff for free. And until next time everyone, bye bye.